I'm Lynn Taylor, indie author, here with another indie author, Cara Blaine, and we're here to talk about her books and her writing process. So, hi, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, what I like to start off with, first and foremost, is what inspired you to start writing?
Books, I guess. I've wanted to be a writer since I was like in the second grade, so I don't really remember. I started basically as soon as I could write, I started writing stories and things. So that evolved into taking creative writing summer camps in elementary school. And then in college, I studied creative writing alongside psychology. So I've just always been a writer, but I always wrote poetry. Some short stories, but mostly poetry, especially by the time I got into college. And I won some awards for the poetry, and that was great. But like, I never thought I'd be a novelist. So, and now I have 8 novels released. So
Yeah,
here we are. You never know what's going to happen.
right. Well, what kind of triggered going into the novel world versus the poetry world?
It was a combination of things. So I had always told myself I would have a poetry collection released by the time I was like 35. That didn't happen. Whatever. I had kids. We went through a recession like at the beginning of starting our family. Life was lifing. So that didn't happen. And then I turned 40 and I was like, I still haven't released any of my writing. And I think this was like my version of a midlife crisis. I turned 40 and I was like, what do I have to show for myself? Like, sure, kids and a college degree, whatever, but like, what do I have to show for myself? I have really high expectations of myself. I always have. So that was kind of in the back of my mind, just in general, back in 2022. And then I just saw the title for some random show. I never ended up watching it, but the title gave me this story idea. And I was like, I'm gonna write this story. And so I sat down and I drafted my first YA fantasy novel. I drafted it in about a month.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and then I just haven't stopped writing since then.
Yeah. And what was the first debut novel that you came out with?
Queen of Broken Dreams.
Okay. Well, and so what's that one about? And how did you, was it the title that you grabbed, or was it like the title of the show made you have the full concept, or how did that one come to be?
The title of the show made me have the concept for like the kingdom in this kind of fairy tale land and the magic and all of that type of thing. So the title was The Sandman. I think it's on Netflix. Like I said, I still haven't watched it, but it gave me this idea for a king who could control his subjects by controlling their dreams, like
Mm.
subliminal influencing kind of deal. So that was what started the story. And then, I developed my FMC and all the rest.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. I really love that idea. I'm gonna have to look into that one. Now that's my TBR. So you came out with that one, and that was a whole different world for you. And then what kind of triggered getting into the next novel?
I think I realized once I could do it, I loved it and I wanted to do it. Several years prior, I had the idea of writing a novel and I sat down and I wrote a few pages and then I Googled like how many words are in the average novel. And then I was like, that's so many words. I don't think I can do that. I'm a poet. That's too many words. I'm not going to do this. And I completely gave up. So just the fact that I finished a book and I enjoyed the process so much made me realize like I'm not going to stop doing this. Like this is what I'm doing now.
Yeah. No, I did the same thing. I feel like everyone kind of does that when they realize how many words are in a book, or they look at traditionally published books and they're like, I could never. And then you get surprised at like how close you get to that when you're just going with your own story.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you had a snowball effect. And so how many books do you have out again?
I have 8 novels, 2 novellas, a very tiny collection of poetry. 6 of my books are on audio as well.
Yeah. See, there you go. I mean, because you even said how you were just like, I don't know if I'll get there. And now you have this whole thing. Like, I always said I just wanted to publish one book, and now I have 8. So, like, yeah, we never know. The sky's the limit, especially when it comes to
Mhm.
books. And do you still
Yep.
feel like you get a lot of book ideas coming to you constantly?
Oh, constantly. I have a Google Doc. I have a list, right? And then I also have people like waiting for sequels in series, so I know I need to write those. And I'm actually thinking of pulling my first 2 YA novels, the one I talked about, and then the other one I wrote that's a prequel to that story. I'm thinking about pulling them and rewriting them as adult fantasy. I'm considering it. I probably will do it. I'm not sure when. But then I also have a whole list of brand new story ideas. So,
Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of, it never stops.
yep.
But that's the fun thing of it. Well, are there any other standalone books that you want to talk about before we get back into series, or are all of your books a part of a series?
My only real standalone novel is Curse of the Soul Collector. And let me see. Let me pull it. Let me pull it out. It is this one. She is a sweet, cozy with a tiny bit of spice, fairy tale, fantasy romance about a witch and a prince. This is one of my books that I have on audio. I did write a novella that's kind of an epilogue or a sequel to this, but they're both can be read as standalone. So that's her. She is the one, and this is my first adult novel. I called it new adult. My first three books were YA, and I feel like I don't know if it's just because it was my fourth book or because it was my first adult novel, but this is the one that really started getting me like a little bit of traction. So,
Yeah, and that's gorgeous cover. Who does your cover work? Because they're beautiful. That's, I love it. Good job.
thanks. It took some learning, but I'm pretty artistic. Um, it's been more a process of learning how to transfer it into the digital world because I hadn't ever done graphic design or digital art or anything. So, but I used to paint and draw. Yeah, I just kind of had to learn about like book covers specifically and figure out how to do everything digitally. And it was a process, but my first couple of covers were not great. But I ended up changing them. I fixed them later. But yeah, I've been designing all my own covers, including like my special edition ones. So
Yeah. Well, and I looked at a video today of yours. I think it just popped up on my feed for the Token of a Wolf. And I was like, that
mhm.
cover is really pretty. Like it just
Thank
immediately
you.
grabbed my attention.
Thanks.
And is that
I
you're
love
talking
it.
about, is that a special edition or are you talking about other special editions that you have?
This is a special edition. I also have a special edition of Curse of the Soul Collector, but it's not available anymore. That Kickstarter is over and I sold all the copies. So,
Nice.
um, this is my newest series. So, Token of a Wolf is book one in the duology, and then Promise of a Bruja is available. Well, they're both available on a Kickstarter right now. So, I launched this one on Kickstarter earlier this year. And now book two is also available. You can get them both in the campaign, which is live for another couple of weeks. This series is romantic urban fantasy, Little Red Riding Hood inspired. So, like, what if the big bad wolf wasn't actually the villain? And what if Little Red found herself allying with him and even falling for him? That's kind of the premise. When I sat down to write, I was like, what if what if the wolf had a really good reason to unalive grandma though? Like maybe grandma wasn't innocent, right? So that's how I came up with the idea for this one. And the first book is out on retail. There's a retail paperback edition available in ebook. And then the second book will come out via wide retail in November. So all the Kickstarter folks get it first. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And are you able to send me a link to your Kickstart that I can put in the description for this so that people can go
Yeah,
directly to it? Awesome.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah. And how long is that Kickstarter open for again?
Till August 4th.
Okay. So they gotta
So a
hurry.
little over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that. So
Thanks.
that do you have any other series? I mean, we talked about a lot. I don't know what number we're on now, but do you have any other series that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have Lex's Lullaby trilogy. I'll pull those too. Um, these were the books I released before Token of a Wolf. I rapid released these last year, and did a couple of Kickstarters to pay for audiobooks for them. So they're all available as duet narrated audiobooks. And this series is a romantic portal fantasy with witches and fae and prophecies, and it's slow burn, why choose romance. So, book one is Lux Between, book two is Lux in Quest, and book three is Lux in Arms. They are sequential, they're not standalone. You got to read them in order. Oh, and they also have like mythology from all over the world in them. That was one of my favorite parts about writing this series. There's mythology incorporated from like the Middle East and Indigenous American and Old Norse and Spanish and Russian and just all over the place. And that was super fun because I really like folklore and mythology. So, Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. A side note, there's another author, I don't know if you've seen him on Book Talk, Ron Shaw has a Purgatory series, and he also incorporates Greek mythology from all over the place. And I do love, I've never realized I would love that until he did that. So I'm definitely interested in that one as well.
I do. We're mutuals, but I didn't realize his books had Greek mythology in them,
Hmm.
so they might have to move up my TBR because I really do love that
They're
kind of
really
book.
good. But yeah, he pulls, I mean, the first one he has a handful, and then people love that so much. The second one he put more in. And the third one, I think he even added more. And I was like, how are you doing? I love it.
That's awesome. It's super fun.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, and it's kind of fun doing the research for it too, and seeing like where the pieces fit in your story.
Hmm. Yep.
Well,
Yeah, I
speaking of,
love doing the research for that, for the trilogy. Um, I know like everyone else, it's the slow burn romance and it's the adventure and everything, but like my favorite part of writing the series was the characters themselves and then all the mythology and folklore research. So
yeah. Well, so that's a question. So, what is that your favorite part of the writing process, or is there another part that you like, really, really like hitting publish or holding your book for the first time? Or what's your favorite part?
it's hard to choose a favorite. I really love it all. Like I even like editing, which I know a lot of authors don't. But I mean, I love drafting. I love getting that first draft on the page and then equally as much like revising it directly after like the second draft is just as fun. I tend to be a pantser, right? And so I don't plot a lot. And so it's just exciting because I don't really know what's happening in the story until I write it. And then it's fun to go back and make it even better and fill it in once I've figured everything out and add foreshadowing and more character development and all that stuff. So I like both of those. But holding a printed version in my hand for the first time is also pretty amazing every single time. Like even though I'm 8 books in, it's always exciting.
Yeah. No, that's my favorite part is holding it for the first time. It just feels like a complete art piece. I was gonna say
Hmm.
that kind of sounds like since you like painting and art and stuff like that, I feel like that's the same mindset for you where you're putting the different pieces and layers together and then pulling back to see the final masterpiece. And like that's probably the same feeling for you.
Yeah. And it's always just this feeling of like, I did this, like I wrote all these words and I made this cover. Excuse me, I made this cover and I'm just always a little bit in awe of
Mhm.
myself, which is weird, but it's kind of a cool feeling.
No, as you should be. It's a huge accomplishment and it's something that other people can enjoy. So it's not just like finishing a puzzle and then putting it back in the box and putting it away. Like you finish something that you can share with everybody too.
Yeah.
All right, well, here's a harder question. What's your least favorite part? Since you said you like it all.
I mean, I like the actual book writing process. Not a huge fan of marketing.
Mm,
So when it comes to like the small business aspect, I'm not bad at it, but I just especially like the more books I have out and the more books I have to market, I just feel like it's taking up so much of my time and mental energy that I could be spending writing. So
mhm.
like it's a little frustrating. Like I love the communities that I've built and my other author friends and my readers. I love all of that, but again, at the same time, it's become very time consuming. And I just want to write. So
Yeah.
that part is not my absolute favorite. I think the only other thing I don't love, there's one part of the editing process I don't really like, and I just find it so tedious. And that's like going through like doing control find for like my overly used words and going through and switching those out or taking them out. Um, that's my least favorite part of editing for sure. That's the only part where I'm like, oh my God, am I done yet? So,
Right. Well, and that's when you kind of realize too, at least for me, my first book, the worst one was Making My Way. And I realized just how often I said it. And I'm like, why do I do that? Like, then you learn about yourself. Like, why do I keep saying the same phrase? And
yeah.
then you have to come up with, similar phrases to match it.
Yeah, I'm like they're shrugging and smirking and whatever. I don't actually use smirking a lot, but they're shrugging too much. They're doing this too much. Um, and then just the typical words that a lot of people overuse, like that and had. I have to go back and edit out. So,
Yeah. Or said is dead kind of thing. Like, change out those.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Well, so what is your current work in progress since you have that Kickstarter for the oh my gosh, I forgot the name of your last book. I'm sorry. The Token of the Wolf.
For Token of a Wolf and Promise of a Bruja,
Yes.
my current work in progress is book two in Order of Terra, which is my YA dystopian fantasy series. So that's been an interesting one because I that was the third book I released, and I've written a lot since then, and I just kind of got distracted and didn't go in and write book two right away. I wrote other series first, and now I'm going in to write book two. And I started to do it, I tried to do it, and I was really struggling. And I finally realized, like, I have to revise book one. Like, I can't, I can't write, I wanted to make book two like go with book one, but I'm not the same writer anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was struggling with that, and I finally realized like I am just gonna have to revise book one first. I can't I can't write book two until I fix book one. And it's not the storyline or anything. It's just technical writing stuff, style,
Hmm.
more than
Yeah.
anything.
The flow and everything.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I get that. So that's kind of like a whole project in itself is going back through the first one and then also kind of adding on and probably writing them at the same time just so you can see a full picture of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's gonna be a process. That's gonna take me longer than most drafts take, I think, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, and you have to peel apart what you've already made too. So you have to really dig into what was I thinking back then?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And is it the second one gonna be the last one, or are you thinking like as you go through you might add a third one later on down the line?
I'd add more later. I was writing this one kind of in that old, I'm trying to think if there's like newer series that are like this, but when I was a kid, you had those series that were just, they were all could kind of be standalone books, like the Babysitter's Club and things like that. So they don't, um, there could be as many or as few as you want, right? So it's just going to kind of depend on if I get inspired to write another one in that world. I do really love that world. I love dystopian. It's one of my favorite genres. And like that book, Order of Terror, was really the book I probably had in my heart the longest without realizing it because it goes all the way back to like some of my favorite books and authors. So it's really inspired by like The Giver, and then also by a series. The first book is called Wise Child by Monica Furlong. That's a really witchy series. Um, and so I kind of took some of those elements and, made it my own story, obviously. Um, but yeah, I have a soft spot for that world for sure because it's combines a lot of my favorite things and the books that I adored as a kid.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, and I've talked to other authors too, and we all agree that like we're realizing as we write that it's kind of pieces of our soul, it's pieces of our past and like things that we liked and who we are and people we've known. And do you feel like you've felt that along the journey too, where it's just like pieces of you being sprinkled into your books?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know how you could not sprinkle pieces of yourself into your books,
That's
right?
true. Very fair.
And like other loved ones and stuff. With the Lux series, people ask me like who the characters were inspired by, especially her three males, and I'm like, they actually all three of those guys have some qualities from my single husband, right? Like they all remind me of him in different ways. And I definitely insert myself a bit into every FMC that I write. That's just a given.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun question. Out of all your FMCs, which one is your favorite? Like if you could meet them in real life, who would it be?
That's hard. Let's see. I think it would be Alma from Curse of a Soul Collector. She's maybe the most like me personality wise. She also just has really cool magic. And I don't know, I mean, all my FMCs are a little bit sassy, but she's just like so down to earth and no nonsense. And I just love her.
Yeah. No, I love that. So you guys would probably just sit down and like have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, okay. Here's a really fun one too. So, what advice would you give a brand new indie author?
My advice generally, first of all, I get approached by a lot of new authors or aspiring authors or whatever they want to call themselves. Um, a lot of the time they haven't finished the draft, and that's always my first advice is like you just have to finish writing it. You have to keep going and you have to write it. And I try not to give like overarching advice, like don't edit while you draft or things like that. That works for me. I don't edit while I draft. I find it easier to get the story out that way, but like for some people it works for them. So generally I just tell them like you need to keep writing, you need to finish it. During that process, you're going to find what works for you, which is not going to be what works for everyone. And just get it done. Like you can't edit a blank page is basically the idea, right? Like it's gonna suck. Your first draft is gonna suck, but you can't edit nothing. You just have to get it out. So, and then you can
Yeah.
fix it.
No, absolutely. That's actually, I asked this question where I have been lately for the last few podcasts, and that's usually what people say. It's just crazy that the first thing is just like keep going, just keep doing
Hmm.
it. Because I remember back when I first started that felt like such a mountain to climb. Did that feel the same for you?
Yeah, to an extent. I don't know. I also though, like I reached a point in my probably in my 30s where I'm kind of like the recovering gifted kid, recovering perfectionist, right? And I reached a point where I was like, oh, I can just do stuff because I enjoy it. I don't have to be amazing at it and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So once I really realized that and took off with that, just it got rid of a lot of pressure, like and I think that's what a lot of beginning writers struggle with is they're trying to make it perfect that first time around. And A, there's no such thing as perfect. And B, it's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. And again, you can always go back and revise, but if you don't have anything to revise, then there you are. Um, but yeah, for me, it's not as much pressure because I finally kind of found that mindset of like, I can just do this because I love it. And having studied creative writing in college and having been so like literary my whole life and bookwormy and everything, I think I had the idea that if I was going to write a book, it better be like the next great American novel, you know? And then I realized like I can just write something fun. Like I can just write something entertaining. I can write whatever I want and it doesn't matter. Like I don't have to write the greatest novel of the century or whatever. And it doesn't have to be perfect and I can just write books that I want to read. And I love fantasy and romantic fantasy. And so that's what I write.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's just sharing your story with people, and people will enjoy it and have this adventure that they can like, or this escape that they could read and just, go into your world. And if it happens to be a bestseller, then it happens to, that's an extra
Right.
bonus. But yeah, I
Right.
think it's having that mindset of like, because I feel like when I talk to new indie authors, there is the two things, like you said, where they're trying to make it perfect, and they also think like it's gonna just take off immediately. And I'm like, not really. You do have to do the market, which does stink. Everyone hates it because it's a lot
Yeah.
for us as indie authors because we're doing everything. But you have the marketing, and then you also have where it's a huge market in general of trying to get your book out there and making it very unique and um, just all of the work with that and it being perfect.
Yeah. The market is a bit flooded, so I agree with that. And yeah, your debut probably isn't going to just take off and be at the top of the charts. Like it might. It's not impossible. I've seen
Mhm.
it happen to a couple of authors. Like Paula Lafferty had that one video go viral and then had that huge Kickstarter and like did really great with her debut novel, but it is not the norm, right? That's the exception.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say don't write because you want to be famous, write because you love to write.
Yeah. Yeah. Like yeah, like you said, it's going to be very rare for that to happen. So you have to find the joy of the hobby itself instead of trying to find the outcome of getting tons of money.
Right.
Well, so I kind of detoured away from your books a little bit, but we talked about your work in progress now and that huge dystopian one that you're going to have to go into. But and you said you have a lot of other future projects in your mind already. Do you have another one after the dystopian one that you're ready to jump into, or you're just going to kind of see where your brain's going?
I'm just gonna see where my brain's going. I try not to think ahead that much because I'm distracted from the project in front of me, right? So if I really start thinking about like what else I want to write, then I'm not going to want to work on what I'm working on. So I don't plan ahead that much. Like I said, I know I will first two YA novels and rewrite those. So that might be it, or I might finish revising Order of Terra and writing Order of Terra 2 and have a completely different idea. And I'm not gonna worry about it right now because get I gotta get the thing in front of me finished first, or I will make some people mad who have been waiting for Order of Terra 2 because I will get distracted again and write something else.
Right. Yes, very easy to do. Very easy to do. I'm
Mhm.
terrible at that. And I've come to find out that I'm not the only one that's an ADHD writer in a sense that I work on like four different books at once and it takes longer but I do get the four books done like at the same time, but it takes forever to do it. So I respect that you are able to focus head on one project. I really wish I could do that too, because that would make so much more sense mentally and workload wise to do that.
Yeah, I mean, but if it works for you, like you said, the books get done, so
It's
you're
true.
fine.
Yeah.
I do know some ADHD writers that haven't finished any books yet and do have, like 8 projects started. So you got to find the happy medium there.
Hmm.
But if you can finish a book, like do it however works for you. I tend to hyperfixate on one thing at a time. So like when I'm drafting a new story, that's all I want to do. That's why I can draft quickly, is because I don't want to do anything else. Like I don't want to do anything else. I have to force myself to do all the real life stuff. And even when I'm going to sleep at night, I'm like, I want to know what happens next, so I need to write it. And I just have to keep going until the story's out. So that's my neuro spicy brain, and how it works for writing.
Right. No, that makes sense. Well, and here's an out of the box question, so you might not be able to answer it, but how long does it normally take you to from start to like finish a book for the whole writing process?
I'd say typically around 6 months, and that is with drafting, and then I leave it alone for a bit, do a second draft. Usually that one is the one that goes to beta readers, and then more revisions, um, and then generally we're in the editing stages, which takes another couple of months typically. So yeah, probably around 6 months.
Okay.
Some books take longer. Order of Terra took longer, but generally, like I said, I can draft a book in like 4 to 6 weeks, and then it's just a few months of beta reads, revisions, and then editing.
Yeah. No, that's a good amount of time. Well, and so you say you do beta reads. Do you also do arc reads normally for your books too?
I do, or I have in the past. I don't know, honestly, if I'm going to keep doing it. It's kind of a lot of work, and I get decent return from it. I know a lot of authors, they might send out 100 arcs and only get 25 reviews. I tend to get more like 50%-ish, which is pretty good, but like I'm not convinced like it helps sell the book after release.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't feel like I've had books that had close to 100 reviews before release. Um, I feel like Lux in Between had 80 something. And then I've had books that only had 40, 30 or 40, I think Token of a Wolf had. And Token of a Wolf has sold just as well. It's just like I don't know. It's just a lot of work, and I'm not convinced that it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Well, and I've never done arc reads, and I know a lot of people who haven't yet. So like, and you're saying it takes a lot of work. What describe that process? Is it just because the email list, or is it setting it all up, or what's the process feel like?
Yeah, it's just setting it all up. It's getting signups. It's getting people, to say, yes, I will read your book. And it's getting things set up with like book funnels to deliver it to them and then following up with them. And I mean, I try not to pester or bug my ARC readers, but I generally send out like a couple. I give them a lot of time. A lot of authors only give people like a week or two. I tend to give people like a couple months. But that also means it might fall to the back of their mind. And so I'll send a couple of reminders throughout that. And maybe it's just more the mental load of like waiting for the reviews to come in. They're not necessarily work, but just kind of stress.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's just I'm not convinced it's worth it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it and see if I'm gonna keep doing that. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, and us being indie authors, like you said, the promoting part is really hard. I think it is just trying to find the balance of like what works for your books and your customers and your readers. And like just
Hmm.
trying to find that is really difficult. Like I think that's something that all the indie authors in the book talk about. Like they just can't find that perfect little line there to find
Yeah,
their readers.
for
But
sure.
I will say I just went through Ron Shaw's Indie Author Awards and I saw your name pop up so much. So you were in there a lot.
And I was very flattered. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I knew some of my readers. I have a Discord server and like a little community in there. And so I knew a couple of them had nominated one or two of my books, but I did not know that many had been nominated. So that was a nice little surprise. I have no idea how the voting is going. I know people can vote as often as they want, and I don't have like the biggest fan base to beg them to do that. So I'm just kind of like, whatever. It'll be whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it was still flattering just to be nominated for sure.
Oh yeah, I had a blast just going through it and seeing all the people I knew. And like since we had already done the set up the podcast, I was like, I know her. And so I'm going through and seeing all your name pop up constantly. I'm like, this is really fun. You have a lot of support and on your reader side.
Yeah, I have great readers. Like I
Yeah.
said, I love the community I've built for sure. That's been the the good side of marketing, right? Is getting out there and building relationships with people and building a community.
Yeah, and like your Discord, finding that little community, that's probably really fun to have that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a fun place and everyone's welcome. You can come join the Discord. It's a silly but also supportive and just, chill vibes.
Yeah, I love that. Well, so let's go. We have about 10 minutes because Zoom will pop up saying you have 10 minutes and then it will just like throw us out. Like the last conversation I had, he was mid-sentence and it just shut him out. Um, so I do want to put in for sure your plugs and where people can find you and your books. And so we have your Discord if you want to plug in the name for that. And I'll put all these links in the description too for you to, as well.
Okay, I will email them out to you. I do have my Discord. I have a website so you can buy directly from me, signed paperbacks. Currently, you can get most of my ebooks on my website too. Mostly they're not in KU right now, but you can get them on my website. And I also sell the Lux's Lullaby Trilogy audiobooks directly on my website. So you can get everything there, but my books are also wide, so you can really find them anywhere. Barnes& and Noble, Amazon, all those places and the new special editions on Kickstarter. So
Yeah. And where are you most so like active on social if someone wants to get a hold of you?
TikTok for sure. Instagram and Threads are kind of tied for number two.
And do you happen to have a link tree you could send me as well, or did you just have all the links that you'll be able to send?
Oh, I do have a link tree. Yeah,
Okay.
I can just
I
send
love
you that.
those. No, that's so super easy because then I can just grab everything.
Yeah.
Perfect. Did you also want to do the artworks segment that I had talked about in the chats?
Oh, sure. I wrote a little haiku.
Oh, I love that.
So
And her words were
let's see.
rest, certain, and conscience. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I had the
So
minutes.
I wrote a little haiku called Epigenetic Trauma. I am certain that as a collective conscience, rest is out of reach.
I love that. That's really good and true.
Yeah, unfortunately.
As a collective conscious, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I really do. I say this every time someone's done with their artwork. So I really do like giving these words because everyone's given something different. Like I had a recipe at one point. I had a comic stretch or a comic sketch and it was like stick figures. You're the first haiku, so I love that too. So like everyone has done something different, I believe, so far. And you're episode number 18, I think, or 17. So like that's kind of crazy that there's so much art in the world that everyone just thinks differently.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a poet at my roots, so that was automatically. I was like, I'm gonna write a poem of some sort, and that's what came to me. So
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, and actually, so we have about 5-ish minutes. Do you want to talk about your poem books? Because I feel like we talked about your novels first, and we can really get into the
sure.
poems.
It is a tiny little collection. It is only my very favorite poems. It could have been three times this size, but I just wanted to put out the ones I really loved. And I'm an indie author, so I can do what I want, right? So it's more like a chapbook. It's like 21 poems. It's called Blood Loss and Dandelions. Um, and it's actually poems I wrote anywhere from like 2001 to 2024. Just like I said, a collection of my very favorite ones. So you can get this on my website too, but it's also on Amazon.
Yeah. And what do you normally like? What topics do you normally cover? Is it kind of just a wide variety since that's a huge time range, or just a very specific, like, I wouldn't say trauma, that's a bad one, but go ahead. You'll probably explain it better than I could say it.
There's a variety. There's definitely trauma in there. It's really just little bites of life experiences and emotion and things that I've witnessed or gone through. There's a poem in here from a very sad time when a friend of mine lost her baby and she had all the baby stuff
Mm.
and didn't know what to do with it. So I loaded it all in our truck and I sold it for her. And then I was like, you should do something fun with the money. You should go on vacation. So like they went to San Diego. There's a poem about that. I was also a social worker post-college for several years until I had kids. And so there's definitely a couple poems related to those experiences. Names changed and everything, protecting identities, but um, and definitely some mothering type things. I'm a mom. I have two teenage boys, so a little bit of everything. Yeah, it's hard to summarize it. I'd like really the title summarized it for me. Like
Yeah.
this, and I know that's still just poetry, and they're like, what does that mean? But blood loss and dandelions, I don't know. Trauma and finding the joy in the little things in life,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No, I love that. So I have a person I've followed on YouTube for a long time, and she like really blew out the idea of dandelions to me, which so I automatically connect to that, where everyone looks at a dandelion as a weed, but really it's very beautiful and it'll just keep coming back and keep spreading and keep showing like I don't need you. Like I can just do what I want.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And even as a weed, like everyone loves to pick a dandelion and blow the seeds, right? Like, and that's
exactly.
just a little moment of joy that most of us have experienced at some point in our life. So
Yeah. So as you go forward too, do you plan on like keep writing poetry? Like does it keep coming to you or have you kind of slowed down on that as you focus on your novels?
I've definitely slowed down on it. I write the occasional one. I will probably put out another collection at some point, but not anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, we have about a minute left, so I don't want it to randomly kick us out in a halfway sentence.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this was a really great conversation, and I'm actually going to go look at a lot of your books because this sound really fun and amazing, and I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to see you come out with more books because I feel like you have a really good plan in place and a fun hobby for you.
Yeah, I'm grinding. It's going to be a career. Like my second full year as an indie author, I was in the black. So I'm not making a living yet, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, do it. I can totally see it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for being on.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye bye.